it's one of the main power centers of Vrindavan, Vrindakund, where Vrindadevi resides, and Tulsi Maharani is her expansion. So in this earthly place, we pray to Tulsi to be in that Leela, and just as we're experienced on Yatra, we have no other business except for glorifying Krishna and going to his places of pastimes and appreciating them. So in Vrindavan, it's all play. And Prabhupada once said, when asked, why is it that Krishna plays a flute? And Prabhupada said, it's because he's all play and no work. You might also notice that he's barefooted. He'd never get a job in Silicon Valley or New York because you walk in with a flute and bare feet. So then, when we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in japa, this is a very personal matter because we all are part and parcel of Krishna. We have our unique relationship with him. And this is a time for self-tuning. Just as you tune a radio, if you've ever done that, I don't know if there are radios anymore, but it used to be in the old days, kids, these machines called radios, and they have a dial on them, and there are frequencies along the dial that you can tune into and listen to a specific program. Are you listening? There's a cat. Cats can join too. Kitty's doing service. Like, Kitty, just let her hang out. And so when we chant japa, it's a time of self-examination where we look and see where we tuned. So we can be tuned to, even as we're chanting, we can be tuned to another frequency. Like there's a frequency of when are we going to eat? There's a frequency of I have a problem I have to solve. The frequency of my foot hurts. There are a lot of different frequencies, so we try to get tuned as closely as we can to being a servant of Krishna and just praying to Krishna. So one of the ways to do that, as recommended by our acharyas, from the Padma Purana come these offenses. We're called aparatas. So radha means there's a mention in the Bhagavatam, the service of the Lord, and Radharani's at the pinnacle of all the servants. And so there are ways of tuning ourselves so that we're not on a discord, at a discord with Krishna and the holy name. So those are what we call the 10 offenses. They're really an adjustment of our attitude. And so we can be tuned into the holy name. So Abai will now give a little commentary on the first of the apparatus to be avoided in order to be tuned with the holy name. Give your commentary.
The first verse that we sing before Guru Puja in those verses, Nishtaya Payache Seva, Charya Vaishnava Seva, Nishtaya Payache Seva. Without the devotee's mercy, you can never serve Krishna. And by offending them, Krishna is more satisfied or more pleased when we worship what Shiva calls Tadiya or Tadiya. And that's things that are related to him, especially devotees. And when we offend them, he gets very displeased, and we can never achieve anything close to Krishna when he is that displeased.
Brilliant commentary, very nicely done. Sadhu. And then, who would like to talk about the second way of aligning one's consciousness for chanting the holy name, Lord? Manya's got a smile, so she's ready. In the context of tuning, and just say what your realization is.
So the second The second verse talks about to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. And thinking about the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about demigod worship there. And here it's stated that Krishna awards the devotee according to their desires. So if we desire to worship a demigod, he makes that faith steady. But then it is also mentioned that Krishna's name and worshipping Krishna is the topmost. And when we think about watering a tree, when we water the entire tree is watered. So similarly, when we chant Krishna's name and we consider Krishna's name as the topmost, then we're actually also worshipping the demigods because they're servants of Krishna.
Well done. Sadhu, sadhu. And now we'll take third offense. Bhakta Brian will give a commentary on the third mention in the Padma Purana for a way to tune oneself to perfectly being in perfect resonance with the divine holy name of Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So third offense, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Well, we just sang in the Gurvashtakam that Krishna's mercy comes through the spiritual master, and only through his grace can we attain
Hold that a little
Krishna.
closer.
So if we're disobeying the orders of the spiritual master, then we're cut off from that flow of grace and mercy that comes through that order, through the spiritual master from Krishna.
Sadhu, sadhu. Let's have number 4, Nanda Vrindavan smiling. Hold on, we'll give you a mic.
Not to take into consideration the Vedic literatures is an offense, because Vedic literatures are coming directly from the mouth of Krishna. And whatever Krishna gives, the knowledge that is apaurushaya, or it is perfect. And we should accept that. And if we don't accept that, then that's an offense.
Sadhu, sadhu. And Deva Vrata Prabhu will do number 5.
The fifth offense is to consider the glories of chanting the holy names to be an imagination. To consider the holy name to be an imagination, if one is committing this offense, it means there's some inattention. They have placed their mind in a place which is different than the holy name of Krishna. And so because their mind is not absorbed in the mantra doesn't reciprocate with them. And so they may go on chanting, and it could become a very mechanical and dry process. And in that mechanical and dry process, one isn't getting a taste. So they think, the grapes were sour anyways. There's a story which Srila Prabhupada would tell of a fox who there was some grapes above his head, and he couldn't reach the grapes because he was too short. And then at one point he just gave up and said, well, the grapes are sour anyways. So if we don't put our due diligence of adjusting our attitude, specifically in hearing the holy name attentively and giving up material attachments and not offending the Vaishnavas, then there's a chance that we could not experience the reciprocation what the holy name has to offer, and thus commit the offense of considering it to be imagination.
Sadhu, sadhu. Number 6. Would you like to? Okay.
So the 6th offense is to give some mundane interpretation of the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And since the holy name is all-powerful and complete, it has the ability to deliver us. And so if we give some concocted explanation, then we won't be able to receive that power that the holy name has.
Devin.
The seventh offense is to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. I believe this is compared to an elephant who takes bath and then right after taking bath puts dirt on himself. And so that doesn't work because then you just end up dirty in the end. So similarly, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name will just get you deeper entangled.
8. Katavali.
The eighth offense is to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities. The chanting of the holy name is not binding to this material world, since it's just the name of the Lord. It's our way to communicate with the Lord, and it has nothing to do with karma or good or bad. So we should not consider it as something that would do that.
9.
Offense 9 is to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. It's like Srila Prabhupada says that it's like giving milk to a snake. By giving milk to a snake, it actually makes it more poisonous. So to instruct the glories of the holy name to somebody who does not have faith, you may leave somebody with a worse conception than what they already had. So that's actually diminishing the accessibility of the holy name to come into their lives in an accessible way.
10. Madhuri Saki.
Ten is to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. Kind of referring back to what Gitavali said, that the holy name is beyond this material world, so comparing it with material attachments actually doesn't allow us to have the full strength of the holy name. And I'm reminded a lot of the Kevalashtakam, where it talks about how the real jewel is the holy name and we're not able to see that. So we should try to transcend beyond material attachments and focus on this transcendental jewel.
Aditi, what's our extra? Why don't they just call them the 11th offenses?
So the 11th offense is to be inattentive while chanting. And when I think of this offense, I think of the fact that when we chant, we're calling out to Krishna. We're trying to communicate with him while chanting his holy name. And when I talk to someone or when I'm having a conversation with someone, it's pretty rude to be inattentive while you're having that conversation. So when I'm thinking of this offense, I think that if I'm communicating with Krishna while chanting, or being inattentive while talking to him, it's pretty rude to do that. So it's better to focus.
Well done. And now you can put up the Bhuta Shuddhi, and everyone, you can go through your own process of saying the Bhuta Shuddhi to yourself, and then say your sankalpa to yourself, and then start chanting. It's nice to just review this before you go into it and get in a meditative state that you're not your body, you're eternal servant of Krishna. So please organize freely. Hare Krishna. The nature of the eternal servant of Krishna, but by misfortune due to me, I've been wandering in the cycle of birth and death, standing in this material. Now, as a result of some unimaginable good fortune by the mercy of my spiritual master, I know that I'm in infinitesimal and being complete apart from the ghost subtle body. Now, by the order of my spiritual master, I have attained the good fortune of serving his Lord's feet, as well as Lord's feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha Shyam's. Nam Vipro Nacham Narapatir Napi Vaishu Nishudra Nahamvarni Nachakrapatir No Vanasto Yatirva Kintu Pradyan Nikala Paramananda Purnam Vitabir Gopi Bharti Parakamleo Das Das Anudasaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Prakara Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I'm going for a short japa walk. If anybody wants to come, you're welcome. If you want to stay here, you're welcome to do that too. We'll be back in time for Guru Puja.
The devotees who will be live there, they will be thinking that it's earthquake. It's rotating. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rama Rama, when Vidura left his home, he had this desire in his heart to get closer to Krishna. So he went to holy places everywhere. And he stayed incognito, so nobody would call him and ask him to join a VBC meeting. And he just went from one holy place to the next. And anyone can go to these holy places and you can get a little prasad. And there's dharmshalas. Anyone can stay for a few rupees a day. It's simple. And just bathing in the holy rivers or even seeing them, seeing the temples, seeing the enthusiasm of the devotees going to the temple in the morning. The course of your life and your thoughts change from the mode of passion and they become transcendentalized. Mam shayo vyabricharena bhakti yogena sevate sadhanam samadhitaitam brahmabhuyana kalpate. You can feel it as an absolute fact. So I come to the holy Dham just to see the holy rivers, see the chakra on the temple, and be in an atmosphere where there's no other business except for Krishna. And then we realize what real life feels like. And we go back to our other life, and we keep that churning in our heart going that I'm here, but I'd rather be with Krishna. And that's what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Rupa and Sanatan when they said, we want out of this job. We just want to be with you. And he said, better you'd be like the mistress, a kept mistress, that she's at home, but she has a secret lover somewhere else. Not that that's ever recommended. It's just a metaphor. But then the idea is that she's always thinking, I'm doing my job nicely, so I don't disturb my meditation on my lover elsewhere. So we have to go back to our lives, and we have to be expert at what we do. At the same time, we should keep this in our heart. How did the Jalangi look? How did it feel just to be in the atmosphere of the Dham and with no other concern? These people coming by, they're going to the temple, and that's real life. And then that's the great benefit we take with us, always keep in our heart. Srila Prabhupada gave us this great benediction, and Krishna is always there available for us, just like with Vidura. He went here, there, and everywhere, and if you spent 3 months, I'm also not recommending this in case anybody asks. If you just spent 3 months and you went from top to bottom of India, you would just stay in the spiritual environment without any other concern. Take a little Mahaprasadam, take some Sharanamrita, a few Tulsi leaves, chant, hear, see the Lord, and you'd be completely happy. So when you know that's your inheritance, you're never worried, because you know that's my default. I keep that in my heart, and at any time I can expand my service. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, dear Sri Sri Panchatattva, if you so desire, please let us always stay in the Dham in our heart and mind, no matter where we are in the world. Thank you for considering our request. And everyone agrees with this prayer. Please say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Go for a minute.
Hare.
Shall we? We'll go back to the Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Ram Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Ram Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Krishna
Krishna.
के बाद छाड़िया वैष्णव सेवा निस्तार पये के बाद छाड़िया वैष्णव सेवा निस्तार पये के बाद नाम श्रेष्ठम अनुम अपि सचिपुत्रम अत्र स्वरूपम श्रीरूपं तस्याग्रजम् उरुपुरीं माथुरीं गोष्वठातिं राधाकुण्डं गिरिवरम् अहो राधिका माधवाशां प्राप्तो यस्य प्रथितकृपया श्रीगुरुं तं नतोऽस्मि हे गुरो ज्ञानददीनबन्धो स्वानन्ददाता करुणैकसिन्धो वृन्दावनासीनहितावतार प्रसीद राधा प्रणय प्रचार हे दीनबन्धो करुणैकसिन्धो कुरु प्रसादं मयि मन्दमूढे लक्षापराधे बहुपापगाधे तत्पादपद्मे स्तुमतिश्च कृष्णे यद्यापि अमर गुरु चैतन्य रदास तथापि जानियामि ताहरा प्रकाश गुरु कृष्ण रूपहन शास्त्रेर प्रमाणे गुरु रूपे कृना कृपा करेन भक्तगणे शिक्षा गुरु के तेजानी कृष्णेर स्वरूप अंतर्यामी भक्त श्रेष्ठ एदुविरूप नैवोपयन्त्यपचतिं कवयस्तवेश ब्रह्मायुषापि कृतं वृद्धमुदस्मरन्तः योऽन्तर्बहिस्तनुभृताम् अशुभन् विधुन्वन् आचार्य चैत्य वपुषा स्वगतिं व्यनक्ति. Without serving the representative of Krishna, nobody can approach Krishna. I bow to my spiritual master, by whose profuse mercy I have received the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the son of Shachi, Lord Chaitanya, Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, and his older brother Sanatan Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the abode of Vrindavana, Radha Kunda, Govardhan Hill, and the desire for service to Sri Radhika and Madhava. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore, grace me with your mercy, so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Sri Krishna. Although I know that my spiritual master is a servitor of Sri Chaitanya, I know him also as a plenary manifestation of the Lord. Every living entity is eternally a servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Therefore, the spiritual master cannot be other than a servant of Lord Chaitanya. The spiritual master's eternal occupation is to expand the service of the Lord by training disciples in a service attitude. According to the deliberate opinion of all revealed scriptures, the spiritual master is non-different from Krishna. Lord Krishna, in the form of the spiritual master, delivers his devotees. The relationship of a disciple with his spiritual master is as good as his relationship with the Supreme Lord. Spiritual masters always represent themselves as the humblest servitors of the personality of Godhead, but the disciple must look upon the spiritual master as the manifested representation of Godhead. One should know the instructing spiritual master to be the personality of Krishna. Lord Krishna manifests himself as the Supersoul and as the greatest devotee of the Lord. The initiating spiritual master is a personal manifestation of Srila Madan Mohan Vigraha, whereas the instructing spiritual master is a personal representative of Srila Govinda Deva Vigraha. O my Lord, transcendental poets and experts in spiritual science could not fully express their indebtedness to you, even if they were endowed with the prolonged lifetime of Brahma, for you appear in two features, externally as the Acharya and internally as the Supersoul, to deliver the embodied living being by directing him how to come to you. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and Master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter at your lotus feet. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Bandhan Mui Savadhana Mate Bandhan Mui Savadhana Mate Jahar prasade bhai e bhavatoriya jai Jahar prasade bhai e bhavatoriya jai Krishna prapti hoy jaha hoy te कृष्ण प्राप्ति हो जा होते गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्य चिते ते कोरिया क्या गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्य चिते ते कोरिया क्या अरना कोरी हो मने आशा अरना कोरी हो मने आशा श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा जे प्रसाद पूरे सर्व आशा चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाश जाते वेदिक जार चरित वेदिक जार चरित ओ श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनार बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनार बंधु लोकेनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना लोकेनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना आहा प्रभु करो दया देहो मोरे पद छाया आहा प्रभु करो दया देहो मोरे पद छाया ओए बेजस गोसु त्रिभुवन ओए बेजस गोसु त्रिभुवन श्रील प्रभुपाद पतित पवन जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Shata Shri Srimad Abhay Charanaravindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharila Srila Haridas Thakur Ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की श्री मायापुर धाम की श्री मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माँ यमुना माई की भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की समवेता भक्त वृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Ha. Wait for it. Re Ko Premanande Hari Hari Ba. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. First off, my respectful obeisances to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who brought the Srimad Bhagavatam to the whole world, and to the previous acharyas, and to all the assembled devotees. Vanchakalpatarishcha kripasindabevacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha anantakoti vaishnavini ki jai. I just bring one more chair right up here, just in case. We're continuing our reading of the story of Narada Muni, and we're up to text number 20, is that correct? We haven't read 20 yet. Ready? Seeing my attempts in that lonely place, the personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all mundane description, spoke to me with gravity and pleasing words, just to mitigate my grief. Purport: in the Vedas it is said that God is beyond the reproach of mundane words and intelligence, and yet by his causeless mercy one can have suitable senses to hear him or to speak of him. I'm going to read that again. Think of it very deeply. In the Vedas it is said that God is beyond the approach of mundane words and intelligence, and yet by his causeless mercy one can have suitable senses to hear him or speak of him. How does that strike you? Huh? Ram, come on up here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. How did this verse strike you? I'm going to read it again and we'll have a discussion. In the Vedas it is said that God is beyond the approach of mundane words and intelligence, and yet, by his causeless mercy, one can have suitable senses to hear him or speak of him. Seems as it's a pivotal statement to me. How do you feel about it? What are your thoughts, reflections?
A lot of the times we try and understand Krishna or God using our intelligence and logic. Like I have been thinking about how to explain the existence of God using logic or things about the material world. But what I've encountered is that it's very, very difficult to use the material world to justify the existence of God. And that makes sense because if God was able to be captured by our logical mind and intelligence, and just in the purview of things that we know, if God could be fully understood in the realm of that, then he would be quite limited because we are very limited. So that this verse makes a lot of sense because it says that Krishna is not understandable by us. He is inherently something different. But at the same time, we can, through a the process of bhakti, which is completely different from just logical thinking, we can have a direct perception of Krishna by experiencing him through bhakti. And that is something that is completely outside the realm of science, which is the only way to experience Krishna. So it kind of says that the logical ways to understand the existence of God are somewhat futile in a sense, and we must approach Krishna through bhakti.
Sadhu, sadhu. Everyone say sadhu, sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu. And now ask Ram some questions to go a little deeper into what he said. Yes. We need one more mic.
Do you have any praman to back it up?
Which part?
Everything.
You asked for pramana. Yeah, okay.
So, for example, Krishna says that the ultimate goal of life is bhakti. Savaipum saparo dharma yato bhaktir atokshaje. Ahaitukya pratihataya yatma suprasiti. So the thing that gives the most pleasure to the self is doing bhakti. And the best way to understand Krishna is through bhakti. So there's not... If the best way to understand Krishna was through science or logical understanding, it would not say yato bhaktir adhokshaje.
More questions. Try to get more out of him. He's on a vein here, which is really important.
Haribol. How does one who's
Krishna.
How does one who's on the material platform, who's extremely mundane and relies on a lot of logical, or like someone who's very logically minded, how can someone explain to them that the Lord is inconceivable and the Lord is only explainable or not even explainable. The Lord is understood by practice of bhakti.
So Krishna says that in 7th chapter that he is the origination of the three modes of material nature, and that we can understand him by crossing over that. Devi hiesha gunamami mama maya durataya mam eva prapadyante. So we need to surrender prapadyante mayam evam tarantite. So the three modes of material nature are our material conditioning. So the way I would explain it to answer your question is that I think it is logical to explain to someone that we are changed by the things that we experience in the material world. So maybe there's these three things called the modes of material nature, which are a property of the material universe, and we all have a different combination of them. But the only way to surpass those, if you want to understand something beyond that, is through some other process which cannot involve anything material, because anything material is just affecting those three modes of material nature. So it makes logical sense maybe that you need to do some process which is non-material in order to go beyond those three modes of material nature.
Very philosophically sound. Can anybody give Ram an analogy? Analogies are thought bridges for people who don't get philosophy. And if you can give an analogy that fits the philosophical point, sometimes it can, as you ask for somebody who's brand new, doesn't have a context, can somebody think of an analogy that fits the philosophical point that he's made?
I've heard this before, and it's meant that, when you think about an atom, it is so small, and our eyes cannot see the atom. So scientists use a telescope to view the atom. A microscope. A microscope to view the atom. So in a similar way, something that's beyond our conception, we can't maybe have a physical experience of God. That doesn't mean that God is not there. So the small particle or atom is there, but we need a microscope to view it. So I was thinking about that as bhakti, to understand God.
Okay. Any other analogies to help cross this bridge? Restate the question so we know what we're giving an analogy for.
How can we, in someone who's very logically minded, understand the Lord's inconceivable nature, or understand that you need to practice bhakti in order to develop a relationship with Krishna?
Got it. Okay. Analogy.
When you look at the sun rays, you know that it's a part of the sun. But if you're in a room and you close the blinds and shut the doors so you can't see the outside, that doesn't mean that the sun isn't there. So similarly, in the same way, the Lord's energies are a part of the Lord, and just because we may not be able to see it, that doesn't mean it's not there.
Okay. Another one.
I was thinking of the frog in the well analogy for this, because Shrikar was asking how a logical person would think about it, but any logical person starts off with a premise and some kind of axiomatic system that he believes in, or he or she believes in. And so if they start off with something where they accept that God does not exist, now let's think about the world, then of course the conclusion is never going to be God exists. And so it's like the frog in the well. There are two frogs in this well. One climbs out and goes and sees an ocean, a massive ocean. And he comes back and he tells the other frog that I saw this massive body of water. But the frog that has been in the well for hundreds of years, he's never seen anything bigger than that well. And so he's like, okay, is it like 10 times bigger than this, 15 times bigger, 20 times bigger? And that's why a lot of scientists say their argument is that, it's not an absolute supreme being that created this, but just someone with a little more intelligence than me, because they can't even fathom that there's an ocean of intelligence out there that can create this entire universe.
An analogy related to bhakti being as you said, the microscope through which we can look into the topic of God that has struck me in the past is, on a personal level, if you meet somebody that you don't know, and they try to observe who you are from the outside, for instance, they might drive around your house and maybe use a telescope to try to look in the window. But how much can they find out? They might even approach you in a very logical way and interview you and ask you questions. And you may give reserved answers because you're not really sure who that person is, if they care about you. But if a person came to your birthday party or remembered something about you through a friend of a friend of a friend, and then they expressed appreciation for you and showed some goodwill, they did some service, then you might start opening your mind or your heart and thinking, well, maybe this person is a well-wisher. And after some time, other people recommend the person and say, no, they're a really good person, you should get to know them. And then once there's a friendship, you might just tell them, yeah, well, I was born in Louisiana, nobody knows that, and I was estranged from my parents at birth, and then I moved to another little village somewhere, and I have all these friends there that not many people know about, and my life is, I play a flute, and I like butter. Might tell details, but you wouldn't tell it to somebody who just walks up to your door and says, who are you anyway? We're doing an interview. And so the process of bhakti, Nayam Sukapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Sutta Gyaninam Chatmabhutanam Yata Bhakti Matam Iha, a verse from the Bhagavatam that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted several times, once to Vyankatabhata when they were talking about the subject of understanding God, whether it was through awe and reverence or whether it was through the kind of bhakti that's in Vrindavan. He said that even Lakshmi Devi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Vyankatabhata, he said, why did your Lakshmi Devi come to Vrindavan and try to do austerities to enter into the rasa dance and wasn't able to do it? And he said, I don't know, sir, you tell me. You're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he quoted that verse. He said, just by the friendly mode, bhakti, then Krishna reveals himself. In fact, we know from Brahma, who's the most intelligent, try to understand God through his intelligence. Jnani pariyasa mudapasya namanta eva jivanti san mukharitam bhavadiyavartam stani stita shrutikatam tanuvan manobir e prayaso jita jito pyasi taistri lokam. Are you getting all these? You should memorize all these verses in the context also. And now Brahma said, after he tried to understand Krishna through his great intelligence, and he's pretty smart, he did 1,700 on the SAT. It's never been done before. And then he tried to steal his cowherd boys, and then realized that, as you were saying earlier, he's beyond what the intelligence can do. If we could circumscribe Krishna with our intelligence, then he wouldn't be God, because God's unlimited. And he said that if you approach him through bhakti, especially through hearing and chanting, stani stita shruti gatam tanavan manobir ye prayaso jita jito pyasi traisti lokyam, then Krishna, just like the person who becomes your friend and then you tell him everything, Krishna becomes so lovingly indebted to such a person that he wants to reveal himself. Not only that, he feels conquered by the love of that person and he reveals himself. So the analogy of a friend or a casual observer or even an intrusive person who militantly tries to steal your secrets, they don't get the entire purview of your life. They only understand fragments of it. So by gyan, by science, scientific study, you can only find tiny little bits, but if you become a friend of Krishna through bhakti, then he can reveal everything to you. Let's give it up for Ram. Sadhu, sadhu. So what prompted the conversation, Ram, I think you did a fantastic job, by the way. I was very impressed. Hare Krishna. Okay. It was prompted by this statement. Hey, why'd you take the chair away? Ram can sit down, but somebody else may have to come up here next. In the Vedas it is said that God is beyond the approach of mundane words and intelligence, and yet by his causeless mercy one can have suitable senses to hear him or speak to him. By the way, this is the subject matter of the chapter in the Bhagavatam called the Prayers Personified Vedas. It's the exact subject. Shukadeva Goswami is speaking about the Lord in various ways, and then Parikshit Maharaj said, well, how's it possible to understand God anyway? Because we have material senses, we're in a material medium. How do we know God through senses? How does sound vibration, which you've been describing, become transcendental? After all, it's just struck sound. You're striking the air in certain ways. It modulates, it goes in your ear, and how does that become transcendental? And the Shukadeva Goswami said it's because he's the master of all energies. He has a purpose for the energies. And when one sincerely tries to reach him through the prescribed process, then Krishna transforms the vibration so that it awakens us to pure devotional service, and he reveals himself to the devotee. A prime verse for this context is Atashi Krishna Namadi Nabhave Grayamindriye Sevamukhi Jivado Swayameva Swarateda. The Shastra says that you can't understand God by your blunt material senses. But if you serve him, starting with your tongue, then he'll reveal himself to you. I'm continuing the purport. This is the Lord's inconceivable energy, one upon whom his mercy is bestowed can hear him. One upon whom his mercy is bestowed can hear him. The Lord was much pleased with Narada Muni, and therefore the necessary strength was invested in him so that he could hear the Lord. It is not, however, possible for others to perceive directly the touch of the Lord during the probationary stage of regulative devotional service. Do you find that interesting? That regulative devotional service is a probationary stage? Look up the word probation. What would you describe the regulative stage of devotional service as? Chaitanya.
It says probationary is into a process of testing or observing the character of abilities of a person who is new to a role or job.
It's probationary, right? And the word means?
Probation is a noun, which means trial, experiment, test, act of examining with a probe. It's from Old French probation, which means proof or evidence.
Proof or evidence. So what, in the context, looking at regulative devotional service is a time when one's proving one's sincerity to Krishna. That all the practices that we're doing is just show Krishna that he can have faith in us, that he can reveal himself to us. We don't have an ulterior motive. When we have no ulterior motive and he sees that we're open and sincere, then he reveals himself. It's a heart-to-heart experience, just like it's described when Krishna appeared in the heart and mind of Vasudeva. He was transferred to the heart and mind of Devaki, and one of our acharyas there described, Bir Raghavacharya describes how this is the same as Diksha. When you meet somebody who's absorbed in Krishna consciousness, and then you're able to take shelter there, then that Diksha process is not just some perfunctory activity, but it's a transference of what's in the heart of one person that he or she has received from a devotee to the heart of someone else. And so bhakti is not mechanical. The regulative principles may seem mechanical, but they're probationary. We're practicing to show Krishna our sincerity. What? Okay, take the mic.
This means that Narada was in his probationary stage of devotional service when he was serving the brahmanas.
Yeah. And even now, his mother left. He's in the forest. And Krishna will say that to him. Remember yesterday I mentioned how Krishna called him a cool yogi? Bad yogi. That you still think it's mechanical, and you're still in the stage where you can't see me, but he trusted him enough to reveal himself to say, this is what it's like. So that can happen in the probationary stage. And in fact, this sequence of stages of advancement of Shraddha, described by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Rupa Goswami, Adau Shraddha Tata Sudasanga, Tabhajana Kriya, Tato Nartan Nivati Sat Tato Nishta Ruchi Stata, and onward to Asakti Bhava Prema. All these are sequential, but sometimes they appear out of order. And one may be in a probationary stage, but then have an overwhelming experience that is beyond one's level of advancement, Krishna giving a free sample. Just like in Chicago, when I lived there, there was a candy company that used to market candy bars, and they had these boys and girls come out, well, young men and young women. They had this contraption they put over their shoulders, and there was a big table in front of them hanging on their shoulders, and they had a bunch of sample candy bars. Before the candy bars hit the shelves, they would give out the candy bar, but it wasn't like this, it was like this. Just one little bite of the candy bar, not the whole thing. So when people would get a little bite of they get one little sample, and they'd line up down the street. They go, that's really good. I'll have another. And it's like, now go buy it. You can't have another one. Okay, I'll continue. It is not, however, possible for others to perceive directly the touch of the Lord during the probationary stage of regulative devotional service. It was a special gift for Narada. When he heard the pleasing words of the Lord, the feelings of separation were to some extent mitigated. A devotee in love with God feels always the pangs of separation and is therefore always enwrapped in transcendental ecstasy. O Narada, the Lord spoke, I regret that during this lifetime you will not be able to see me anymore. Those who are incomplete in service and who are not completely free from all material taints can hardly see me. This is where the word at the end of the words for word you see, aham ku yoginam. Durdarsha means difficult to be seen. And aham, I. And ku yoginam means incomplete in service. So here's the purport. The personality of Godhead is described in the Bhagavad Gita as the most pure, the supreme, and the absolute truth. There's no trace of a tinge of materiality in his person, and thus one who has the slightest tinge of material affection cannot approach him. The beginning of devotional service starts from the point when one is freed from at least two forms of material modes, namely the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. The result is exhibited by the signs of being freed from kama, lust, and lobha, covetousness. Look up that word. That is to say, one must be freed from the desires for sense satisfaction and avarice, look up that, for sense gratification. The balanced mode of nature is goodness. What's the balanced mode of nature? Someone says, I feel out of balance. How many times have you heard that? For every time you heard it, if you had a nickel, you'd be a millionaire. That is to say, one must be freed from the desires for sense gratification and avarice for sense gratification The balanced mode of nature is goodness, and to be completely freed from all material tinges is to become free from the mode of goodness also. To search the audience of God is in a lonely forest is considered to be in the mode of goodness. One can go out into the forest to attain spiritual perfection, but that does not mean that one can see the Lord personally there. One must be completely freed from all material attachment and be situated on the plane of transcendence, which alone will help the devotee get in personal touch with the personality of Godhead. The best method is that one should live in a place where the transcendental form of the Lord is worshipped. The temple of the Lord is a transcendental place, whereas the forest is a materially good habitation. A neophyte devotee is always recommended to worship the deity of the Lord, Archana, rather than go into the forest to search out the Lord. We were in Govardhan this year for the readings, and this very nice brahmachari showed up suddenly out of nowhere, and he was enthusiastically engaging in the hearing and chanting, but also he wanted service. He kept bugging me, give me some service. I said, just hear and chant. And he said, no, I want also some service. So he got engaged in helping to clean and so forth. And then in some of our reflection sections, we found out that he had gone to the Himalaya just before he came to us because he wanted a pristine place to hear and chant. He wanted to be away from the honking horns and be near a flowing river and with trees and the blue sky. And he said after 2 days he realized he couldn't do it there. So he came down desperate, give me service, I want to engage, I want to be with the devotees and hear and chant. So there's a way in which this attraction to the forest is a materially tinged activity because it's the idea that we'll take shelter of the mode of goodness. A neophyte devotee is always recommended to worship the deity of the Lord rather than go into the forest to search out the Lord. Devotional service begins from the process of archana, which is better than going out into the forest. In his present life, which is completely freed from all material hankerings, Sri Narada Muni does not go into the forest, although he can turn every place into Vaikuntha by his presence only. He travels from one planet to another to convert men, gods, kinnaras, gandharvas, rishis, munis, and all others to become devotees of the Lord. By his activities, he has engaged many devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, and many others in the transcendental service of the Lord. A pure devotee of the Lord, therefore, follows in the footsteps of the great devotees like Narada and Prahlad, and engages his whole time in glorifying the Lord by the process of kirtan. Such a preaching process is transcendental to all material qualities. Pick a section here that would be important to discuss. Yes. Being free, can you say what this sentence is? Is it near the beginning?
Yeah, near the beginning, first paragraph. The beginning of devotional service starts from the point when one is freed from at least two forms of material modes, namely the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance.
Okay, Anushree, come on up here. So here it says the beginning of devotional service starts from the point when one is freed from at least two forms of the material modes, namely the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. What's the meaning of that? How does Prabhupada mean there that's the beginning of devotional service? Can you give any evidence? Have any thoughts on that? And also give pramanam effusively.
So at the beginning of devotional service, you have to start somewhere, and it helps to give up sinful activities. And an example of this is the four regulative principles. They include things that are in the mode of passion and ignorance, like meat eating, gambling, intoxication, etc. And so by doing this, you can become more pure and be freed, or at least be less attached to the material world and focus more on Krishna consciousness.
Give a verse from Divinity and Divine Service that talks about worshiping Vishnu because he's beyond the modes of nature. I'll give you a clue. It's past the verse, that paragraph that starts with Shushu Shosharananasya.
Tadarajastamo.
Okay, you can do that. Do that. That's good.
Tadarajastamo bhava kamalobhadayashe shetaitirna vidam sitam sattve prasidati. I'm forgetting the exact translation, but
Give the approximate translation. Ta-da! At that time, ta-da means at that time. Rajas,
Rajas is passion,
tamo,
ignorance,
bhava. It's a time, their existence, their appearance. Tada rajas tamo bhava, kama,
lust,
lobha,
greed,
adayash, and the others, like etc. Chaye. Next word.
Cheta ether.
Cheta means consciousness. Means like the mind, like Cheta Darpana Marjanam, right? So you're Cheta, then go Cheta what?
Ether anavidham.
Last word, last line.
Sitam sattve prasidati.
What does that mean?
Something goodness.
Stita means?
Steadiness. Or
yeah, it's the same word as stand that we talked about yesterday. Stitam means you're situated in a certain place. Stitam and?
Sattve, goodness.
Yeah.
Prasidati.
Prasidati is the same verb as prasad, like mercy coming down to you. And he's saying there, when you become freed from these lower modes of material nature, and incidentally, this kind of sattva that's being mentioned here is beyond material sattva, because the acharyas have said it's not material sattva, it's spiritual, shuddha sattva, devoid of all the other contaminating modes. Another verse about worshipping Lord Vishnu because he's beyond the modes of nature. Sattvam rajas tamayiti. You know that one? Sattvam rajas tamayiti prakriter gunastayar. Yukta para purusha eka iha siddhate. Go.
Stityadare harivirinchi hareti samya shrayamsi tatra kalu sattvatanondranamsya.
Yeah. What does it mean? Give some clues. Tejas, break it down.
So it says Sattvam Rajas Tama iti. So it's talking about the three modes of material nature. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. The mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. Iti prakritir gunastre. So these are the three modes of material nature. Can someone repeat the verse for me? Purusha eka hi hasyadat. So yukta means like when one is endowed with or it's close to them. Yukta para purusha eka ihasyadate. So para purusha means when one is, para means when one transcends this. Purusha eka ihasyadate.
Pull up the verse. Let's read it. You got it right there? Here, give it to me. Was there a minute ago? Sattvam rajas tamayiti prakritir gunastha yukta para purusha eka ihasyade stityade harishangya maya shreyamsi tatra kalu sattvatanorninamsu. Translation is, the transcendental personality of God, it is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance, and just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. And then we also have Bejare Muniyotagre,
Bhagavantam Madhoksajam Ahetuki
Sattvam Vishuddham Shemaya,
Kalpante Yenutaniha.
Which means that previously all the great sages worshiped Lord Vishnu because he's beyond the modes of material nature. They could derive the highest benefit from that. And those who follow in the footsteps of those previous great sages, if you're following the previous great sages, raise your hand. Everyone should raise your hand because you're sitting in a Bhagavatam class, in the Dham, by the way, is also eligible for the same result as they got. And one more verse, a Pramanam verse from the Bhagavatam, which literally says that the position of liberation from the modes of material nature is the threshold of bhakti. Please. You know it? Rama Bhuta Prasanatma Ashochati Nirkangshati Samaks Sarveshu Bhuteshu. Okay, someone say the verse. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Samaks Shibhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. Means Krishna is saying when it comes beyond the modes of material nature, that person becomes eligible to enter through the door of bhakti and perform bhakti. And we also have Yesham Twantakatam Papam Jananam Punyakarmanam. 7 chapter fans, where are you all? Yesham Twantakatam Papam. Go ahead, Rama. He raises his hand. Say it. Yesham Twantakatam Patam Jnananam Punya Karmanam Te Dvanva Mohanir Mukta Bhajantimam Drudavrta. Means that those who are situated beyond the lower modes of material nature have facility to very determinedly take up the bhakti process. Final comments, give a conclusion. Topic is, reminder of the topic, the pointed topic. The beginning of devotional service is being freed from passion and ignorance. Expound. By worshiping Krishna.
By worshiping Krishna,
One becomes purified.
One becomes purified
of the lower modes of nature.
Of the lower modes of nature.
The senses become freed from contamination.
The senses become free from contamination.
And one can then perform devotional service with heart and soul.
And then one can perform devotional service with their heart and soul.
Sarvapadi vinirmuktam.
Sarvapadi vinirmuktam.
Tatpratvena nirmalam.
Tatpraktena nirmalam.
Rishikena rishikesha.
Rishikena rishikesha.
Sevanam bhaktiruchite.
Sevanam bhaktiruchite.
By engaging our senses in Krishna's service.
By engaging our senses in Krishna's service.
They become purified.
They become purified.
And one can then engage directly in service to the Lord.
And one can then engage directly in the service of the Lord.
Well done, Anushri. Thank you very much for your courage. Where were we? We finished the purport, right? Where? Yes, please, Tejas.
So, I feel like there was still one point that wasn't answered, which was that, so Prabhupada's saying that one must be free from the 2 modes of material nature, and that's like the beginning of bhakti. But then, for example, the verse that Anushri quoted, Tadara Justamo Bhava,
that the acharyas mentioned that's talking about bhav bhakti. So could you explain how it's a discussion of beginning of bhakti, and then but now in this context, also Narad Muni, many acharyas do explain that the reason he got it, at that stage he was in bhav, that's why he was able to still get some darshan of the Lord. So could you please explain how Prabhupada's saying that this is the beginning of devotional service, despite that?
Sometimes Prabhupada describes bhakti and bhakti proper. So one may be engaged in bhakti, and Kapila Dev acknowledges this in the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, where he describes bhakti in the mode of ignorance, which sounds discordant, doesn't it? And bhakti in mode of passion, bhakti in mode of goodness. And he gives the qualities of those types of bhakti. And what's more, we hear Archaryam eva haraye pujam ya shredeye hite natad bhakteshu chanyesu sabhakta prakrita smitaha. There's a category of bhakti in which one's called prakrita bhakti, prakta. This is out of generosity, that those who are beginning the process of bhakti, even though they're still within the modes of material nature, they're like, yeah, you get a honorary title. You're here, you showed up, and you're doing the bhakti even if it's in the modes of material nature. So you're a prakrita bhakta, which also sounds discordant, because how can a person who is a prakrita, attached to the material world, still be a bhakta? So that's bhakti, because of the generosity of Krishna. But then there's what Prabhupada calls bhakti proper. When one goes through the probationary period and Krishna kindly removes the coverings of passion and ignorance and then even goodness, which he's doing here for Narada, because he's saying, yeah, you're a bhakta, but you're still attached to the mode of goodness. Somehow he was attracted to the forest, and Krishna noticed that. So he said, here's a little taste, later on you'll get the full thing. And bhakti starts for many people when they just accidentally say Hare Krishna. That's acknowledged in the sixth canto of the Bhagavatam, and even those Krishneti yasa giritam manasadriyeta, they say Hare Krishna, and then he's like, okay, worship him. Why are they worshipable? Like, they're in bhakti too. A dog ran alongside of Shivananda Sain on his way to Puri, and he said, no, he's with us. He's a bhakta. He's running with us. You notice if you go on parikram, the dogs see you and they go, like, a pack? Yeah, I'm going to join the pack too. And you go, you can join the pack. And you go, okay. Then the Vaishnav says, you're a bhakta because you're with the pack. He joined us. Give him rice prasadam every day. Then he got to meet Lord Chaitanya in Puri. Then Kaviraj Goswami said, well, he went back to Godhead. He was a little hound dog. And he got that benefit. So bhakti is generous, and bhaktya sanjayate bhaktya, by performing kriti. What's the verse? Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhava saranavida nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakrityam hridis sadhyata. The Rupa Goswami says the potentiality of this bhakti practice, even if one's a prakrita bhakta, is that it leads to bhava bhakti. So the probationary period in which one is on probation, like when you get out of jail, not you, somebody else. When you get out of jail, you're on probation. You have to check in with your probation officer. You guys probably know about that. You get out of jail and you have to go on probation, and you're checked on regularly to see how you're doing. Yes. Yes, please, Radhika.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So then later on in the purport, I have a question about Archana, because it says here that a neophyte devotee is always recommended to worship the deity of the Lord rather than go into the forest. And this is making me think about so many exalted devotees having really personal relationships with deities. And the deity is non-different than the Lord himself. So how can we understand this where even if we're in the neophyte stage or a probationary stage, seeing Krishna in the deity form, as opposed to getting very advanced and actually being able to see the Lord himself, like Narad Muni. I'm just not fully able to conceive those two. I was thinking of that, the pastime of the Pujari of Tota Gopinath, who had such a personal relationship with him that he had requested the Lord in the deity form to sit down, which is why we have this beautiful deity of Krishna sitting down. And how is that different than seeing the Lord himself in one's mind or in meditation?
It's not different. The Lord is present as the deity. Just Sakshi Gopal. Then the poor Brahmana said to Sakshi, "Oh, you're not a statue. You're directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's no difference." So it's Yeyatamam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyaham manavartante manusya partha sarvasha. As we approach Krishna, he reciprocates. He's perfect at reciprocating with us, and even goes above and beyond, because if he knows what we really want and we don't approach him properly, he helps to adjust us so that we do approach him properly. And as far as the deity goes, much of bhakti is visceral. We have philosophy, and then we have this direct experience. When I first came to the temple in San Francisco, and the first night I was there, slept in the brahmachari ashram, woke up in the morning, there was dancing at Mangalartik, then there was Bhagavatam class, and the sun was coming up, and Tulsi was in the middle of the room. I never heard of Tulsi before. I just joined the night before. And the sun was coming through the skylights. It was a beautiful temple. It used to be a funeral parlor. That's why it was so beautiful. And Tulsi was there. The sun was coming in. There were flowers strewn on the ground from devotees dancing with garlands on. And incense was in the air. You could see it pluming. And we started dancing around Tulsi Devi. And I just felt complete ecstasy. I didn't even know what was going on. It was a direct, visceral experience of joy, of dancing with Tulsi. And I was looking at the devotees with their tilak on. It's like, where are these people from? And Prabhupada describes in the third canto of the Bhagavatam that when people come to the temple and they see the smiling face of the Lord, he says they smell the incense, they bow down, and he said even the neophytes or the kanishtas, they become, he uses this phrase, they become imperceptibly liberated. They even know they're just suspended because they're there with the deity, the incense is there, they're enveloped by the spiritual energy. And that's the arshana process. It's so beautiful. Even the people who are just brand new, even heathens or ruffians, what's another one? Uncouth, vagabonds, barbarians. Huh? Dog eaters, hoodlums, come into the temple and they experience the environment, they become transformed. Then, if one takes the Panchratrik Vidhi, that's why there's Bhagavat Marga and Panchratrik Vidhi. We chant Hare Krishna, but we do so side by side with the deity worship. It means a whole lifetime of dedicating yourself to the form, attending the form of the Lord. And as you do so, there's a direct relationship you develop with Krishna. One of the devotees, a god sister of mine who passed away some years ago, in New York City, we lived at 340 West 55th in Manhattan. It's freezing there. It's a big building to heat too. It's probably why we lost it in the first place. Anyway, she'd come down to take care of the deities in the morning. She took care of the small deities. She'd take their outfits and she'd warm them up with the iron before she'd put them on the Lord. She warmed them up on the iron. And this was an example of how one becomes more and more attached to the personal form of the Lord and wants to serve Him and see His smiling face. And if you get the opportunity to bathe the Lord in the morning, and then you see flowers and tulsi running down the beautiful form of the Lord, and they stick somewhere, and maybe the sun's coming in, and Krishna, you see Krishna's smiling face. He's like, I don't want to be anywhere else. You're imperceptibly liberated at that point. And then it deepens as one becomes more and more surrendered to the Lord, that Krishna will reciprocate. And he speaks to his devotee through the deity form, because he can communicate through any element in this world, because he is all the elements. It's all his energy. What to speak of his very form, which is his way. Archa means it's his way of reaching out to us here in this world so we can touch him, see him, and so forth. I can't take any more questions because we've got to end, because we've got to stay on schedule. Today we're going to see Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But it was quite an enlightening session today, wasn't it? Because of our guest speakers. Let's thank them for coming on up here. That's it? That's nothing. And now, a word from our sponsor. Tell us what we've won. Tell you what I'm going to do for you. Oops.
His Grace Vaishya Shikha Prabhu ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So just a reminder, 9:30 is when we will leave from the Toto rickshaws outside Vaishnav Academy. So if everybody could please honor their breakfast and be on time, that will be great. And secondly, just a request, we have noticed a lot of empty bottles loitering around. So if you're able to recycle them, keep it, because that's great. That's less plastic going in the dham. So you can have, there is a bottle which you're filling up the RO water on each floor. But if you're not using them, then please do put them in a dustbin so that we can keep this room clean and clear of any clutter. It's a humble request to all the devotees. And we'll see you downstairs at 9:30 a.m. Yes, Harai Pran Prabhu. Do we have the dates and the time? Yeah, sure. Please come up.
Hare Krishna.
Let's welcome Harai Pran Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So Anushri sent out a link in the group. So we'll be having a boys sangha and girls sangha with Guru Maharaj and Guru Ma one of the following days. So if you have any questions, I would recommend it to be detailed and concise. If you have any questions, they're all anonymous, you can put it in there, and then we'll group them into categories. So because there'll be a lot of questions, so we just want to make the best use of our time. So there will be a cutoff on the day of, so get your questions in ASAP. Hare Krishna.
I think if you do it by tomorrow midday, that would be helpful as a cutoff. So that gives enough time actually for everybody. Good. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Radha Madhav, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Radha Govinda, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, Shri Shri Lakshmi Shringadev, Shri Shri Prahlad Nrsimha. If you so desire, please enliven us and give us spiritual strength during our probationary period so we can humbly but determinedly prove our sincerity to you in our service by showing up for the path chalked out for us by the great acharyas. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part. Please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
One more announcement, sorry.
Hare Krishna, we just wanted to thank everyone who's been serving, especially the crew that was serving last night, because they had the extra service of cleaning up for dinner and wiping down the tables. Today's breakfast will be served by Vaishnavi, Gitamrita, Ram, Vedant, Dino, Abhay. And then for lunch, we have the following devotees that are serving: Parth, Simran, Adya, Anushri, Vrindavan Natabar, and Bhajaras Bhavana.
Manchakalpadurishcha kripasnabeva cha patitanam bhavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.